All right, shalom, 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 shalom. My name is Yadon Yasharal with Savior Word of Yah Tabernacles of the Congregation of Israel. Welcome to our weekly Bible study. I know everybody is kind of surviving the pagan season. We know that they had the world celebrated their Christmas or Xmas yesterday. This is something that we as Hebrews, we understand the origins of this and we don't participate, and we try to sanctify ourselves and we try to, keep our focus on the things of Yah. So what we're going to study today and what we're going to get in today is we're going to talk a little bit about understanding the eighth day and the eighth day man, because there's a creation of the sixth day man, which is how we are created in the flesh. And then there's the new creation, just like you have the regular heaven and the earth, and then you have the new heaven and the new earth. And the new heaven and the new earth is what's going to be forever, just like the new man is what's going to be forever. So we're going to get into that concept, and it kind of breaks down and shows you why you have so much idolatry going on, because you got two different type of creation going on. You have a 6-day man, which is very carnal in nature and can be easily misled. And then you have the 8th day man, which is a whole new creation that only Yah can create. It cannot be duplicated. So we're going to open up first in the book of Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter 4. And what we're going to look at there is we're going to see that the Most High has no shape or similitude. The Most High has no shape or similitude. So let me pull up the scripts. And again, this is an open forum. So if anybody has questions, comments, or if you see something different or you want to explore something, by all means, chime in, and we'll try to get to that. So we're going to open up in first Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter 4, and we just want to read one verse here. So we're going to Deuteronomy chapter 4, and let's go to verse 15. All right, so we're just going to read a few verses here. Deuteronomy, Devarim chapter 4 and verse 15. Take you therefore good heed unto yourselves, for you saw no manner of similitude on the day that Yahweh spake unto you in Horeb out of the midst of fire. So there was no manner of similitude. So that means there was no shape, no image, no trail or nothing of that matter, nothing physical we could look at to say, oh, that's what the Most High looks like. So let's look at that word similitude so we make sure we understand that. Similitude is temunah, which is H8544. That means something portioned or fashioned. That is something shaped, something that has been put into a shape, or a ghost or some kind of phantom resemblance. Nothing. There was nothing there. All right. So we have to establish that, and we have to understand that when the Most High came in his presence, there was nothing, no similitude, no type of shape, form, or fashion. All right. So back to verse 16. Lest you corrupt yourselves and make you a graven image, the similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that's on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that's in the waters beneath the earth. And lest you lift up your eyes unto heaven, and when you see the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, should be driven to worship them and serve them, which Yahweh, your Elohim, has divided into all nations under the whole heaven. So he did not show you any of these things. He didn't give you no giant bird that flew by when he was talking, or when he came. He didn't give you the sun shining bright in your eye, or the moon in some weird moon phase or something, blood moon. He didn't give you none of that. He gave you no manner of similitude so that you can't turn around and say that is him, because that's what the carnal mind will do. The carnal cannot understand something spiritual, so it has to make something physical out of it. All right, to represent something that they cannot understand. So let's move on. Let's go to Genesis. We're going to go to Bereshit. And we're going to look at the creation. And we're going to see the different creations going on here. The sixth-day man that was created. And who created him? So let's go to Genesis. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go to Bereshit chapter 1. And we're going to go to verse 26. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26. And Elohim said, or Elohim said, let us make man in our image. So right there, you already see interesting perspective. It's saying, let us, so that's showing there's multiple people. And it says, make man in our image. So let's see what that word for image is. You want to see what they're talking about here. So in our selem, in our phantom, illusion, resemblance, a representative idol, an image. So let us make man that looks like us, that has our form or shape. Okay. And it says Elohim said, let us. So when you see God with a capital G and a lowercase o-d, that's Elohim. So we have to understand what that is, because when they see that, people think that this is talking about the Most High. Not every time. So when you see in Hebrew for that term God, you have Elohim, which is gods in the ordinary sense. So this is the plurality of God. So this is the host of YAH. So when you see Elohim, is talking about the host of YAH. And in certain places, it'll tell you which part of the host he's referring to. When it says Yahweh Elohim, then it's talking about the Most High Elohim. When it's talking about Adonai Elohim, it's talking about the Son, the Messiah Elohim. And when it's just talking about the heavenly powers, the host of YAH, then it's Elohim. So this host of YAH, host of spirits that make up YAH, that's all falls under the Most High YAH and his word, Mashiach. They created man in their image. In the image of Elohim created he him, male and female created he them. So in this original creation, it's created in the image of the heavenly powers, and they created them male and female, just like us. We're created male and female. That's how we are born. This is the sixth-day man. All of this happened on the sixth day of creation. So all of us come into this world as sixth-day men. We are made in the image of the heavenly powers, and we're made either male or female. We come into the world. So that is the sixth-day creation. So now we want to see what it talks about how he created man and how he said, let us make. So let's look at that word make so we understand what's going on here. We look at that word make, it's asah, asah, A-S-A-H, asah, and that's to do or make. So that is to create something or appoint something. So when nothing is there and you appoint something, that means you make something. You create something. So man is being created. The physical man is being created on this sixth day. All right. So now when this creation, if we read the rest of Genesis chapter 1, we see that, you know, different things were created on different day. Everything was created on its day, and its things that were like it were created on its day. So that's why you have the fish were created on a different day than the beast. The beast is created on a specific day, and the birds were created on a different day than the beast was created. So we are like beasts. We are just animals. We have animal desires and emotions, just like anything. When we're hungry, we eat. When we're angry, we can get dangerous. You know, when we're aroused, we can procreate. So just like an animal, but something has to be different in us to become the eighth day man. So let's take a look first. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Let's look at the different types of bodies that were created, because we have to understand, we already established that YAH is in heaven, and he's a heavenly being, and his body is with no similitude. It's invisible. We can't see it because he's created for that realm, versus man being created here, being made from nothing, physical man, that is being made for this area, the terrestrial, the terra, the earth. So we're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and we're going to break something down real quick. First Corinthians chapter 15, and we're just going to read 38 through 40, and we're going to look at the types of bodies. All right, so we're at 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and we're going to start this at verse 38. But YAH gives it a body as it has pleased him, and to every seed his own body. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. So YAH created each one of these animals, these beasts or these creatures, for its environment. So man was created for man's environment, and there's one kind of flesh of man. Then there's another flesh of beasts, and each one of those beasts has its own individual type of flesh. Then there's another type of flesh for fishes, which were created for the water, created for their own environment. Then you have another one for birds, and they're all different. None of them are the same. They're created for their own environment. Verse 40, there are also celestial bodies and terrestrial, but the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another. So it's the same as in heaven. The things that are created for heaven are in heaven. So YAH and the angels and Elohim, the heavenly powers, all that, they're created for heaven. So their body is based on heaven. They don't need flesh. That's light. They're based on light, and whatever makeup, their makeup is in heaven. But the things that are on earth are carbon-based, need oxygen, need water. Those things are terrestrial, but the bodies are different. So what we get confused is when we start to try to mix the two, and we try to take heavenly things and we try to make it something that's terrestrial, when it's not the same. It can be parabolic and metaphoric of the heavenly, but it's not the same thing. Because again, we see here, the celestial has its own glory and the terrestrial has another. It's completely different. All right, and we are going through verse 40. All right, so we read that. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to Romans chapter 8. Romans chapter 8. Ramin chapter 8. So if you were created carnal, and you were created a carnal 6-day man, you are not going to change. That's how you were created. You were created for this plane, for this field. And it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you evil. Now, when you do evil things, that makes you evil. But being carnal, and that does not necessarily make you evil. But when the situation and circumstance arises, you will do evil things because you are carnal. That's just how you're created. Now, we don't choose how we are created. If that's the case, many of us would have chose to be spiritual from the beginning. We would choose to be stars, choose to be perfect. If that's the case, And we choose all our family and all our friends and everybody we love to be perfect, right? But we don't have that choice. The Most High chooses that. So it's the same thing with the carnal. You can't just choose to be carnal. If you're made that way, that's how you're going to be. If you're not made carnal, you could try to fit in. You could try to, understand and do things carnally like everybody else, and you're just going to get chastened, and you're just going to be at unease and unhappy. And that's why we see so much depression and so many people on drugs and all these different opioids, because they're spiritual people, the children of Israel, and they're trying to be carnal, but their body was made to be spiritual. It's not going to work. So how do we understand the carnal? Let's go to Romans chapter 8. We're going to read verses 4 through 8. Romans chapter 8 and verse 4. That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. So what are you walking after? What is leading you? Is the flesh leading you and you're following after that? Or is the Spirit of YAH leading you? The Spirit of YAH is going to cause you to pause for a second sometimes and not react the way your flesh would want to react, because it doesn't necessarily agree with the Spirit. Sometimes it's going to be agreeance, like when somebody's trying to hurt your family and you jump up to protect them. Yeah, the Spirit aligned with the flesh at that moment. But sometimes when greed is involved, pride is involved, or confusion or anger, you might react according to the flesh, and it's not going to align with the Spirit of YAH. Verse 5. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. So the carnal, they can't help it. You trying to talk to them about spiritual things, they drift off. Their eyes, you can see it in their eyes, they're gone. There's nothing there. They have not been granted that Spirit, and we can't judge them. All we can do is shine the light and manifest what's there, and try to be a light for those that are in darkness looking for the light. But you can't judge them, because you can't give them the light. You can't give them the Spirit. You can't give yourself the Spirit. It says that no man has the power to retain the Spirit. You can't hold it back. So this is why we can't judge. Take it as a reminder, as an admonishment, that could be you, that you're no different. You are made terrestrial just like that other individual. YAH choose to put something celestial or spiritual into you. Verse 6. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. The carnal body was made to die. Just like the candle that goes in the menorah was made to burn out. If they wanted to make it burn forever, they would give it a source of fuel so that it could just continuously burn. But no, they made it out of something that will deteriorate, that's vain, that will not last forever. Well, that's how the carnal is. The carnal mind is the same way. It will not last forever. Either they're going to die off in the grave, or it's going to die in a rebirth and becoming a new person, a eighth day man, circumcision of the heart. But to be spiritually minded is life and peace, because that's eternal. Why? Because verse 7, because the carnal mind is enemy against YAH. Why is it an enemy against YAH if YAH allowed this to be created? For it is not subject to the law of YAH, neither indeed can be. So that's the carnal mind. It cannot be subject to YAH's laws. It can only be subject to physical laws. Like if you hold your breath, you're going to pass out. If you swallow water and you don't, and it's too much, you're going to drown. You jump up, you're going to go down. You cut yourself, you're going to bleed. They can only respect carnal laws. The speed limit is 100 miles an hour. They don't have enough money for the ticket and their license suspended. They're going to slow down because they respect the consequence. But the spiritual is subject to the law of YAH, which is invisible at times. This is something that's only visible inward, a decision of righteousness. But the carnal mind cannot be subject to that because they can't see righteousness. It's invisible. They can only see things that they can touch, see, hear, or taste. Only things with their physical senses. Verse 8. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please Yah. So that's the difference. That's the sixth-day man. No matter what he do, he tries to live a nice life, and he says, I didn't steal, I didn't kill nobody, I lived a selfish life, but I put some money in, and I gave to the poor at times, but I'd never reached my full spiritual calling. But I was a good carnal man. People in this world will say I was a good man, and y'all will say, no, you're a carnal man, you're an enemy. I gave you the capability to be spiritual. And when I was chastening you and trying to get your attention and causing you to be depressed, you just medicated yourself. You had money. You just spent your money on hookers and drugs and vacations and just did everything to take your mind off of it till you die. But you gave money, you didn't get caught for your sin. So people consider you a good person, but that's the carnal person. That's enemy against Yah, because you cannot be subject to the law of Yah. And what's the law of Yah? Anything that proceeds out of his mouth is law. So let's go back. Let's start to look at the eighth-day man now. Let's go to Genesis, Bereshit chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2. And many of us, we like Siamese twins. We connected. We got the old man, the sixth-day man fighting the eighth-day man, and they just fighting. And here you are, you in between trying to revive the sixth-day man. And this is the struggle we go through. And why do we go through? Because we're created terrestrial. But something that is out of this earth is being put into us, and it's foreign. It's foreign to us. And that's why they call us a strange and peculiar people. So we're at Genesis, Bereshit chapter 2, and we're going to read 7 through 9, and we're going to look at this eighth-day man. And first, you saw in the first creation in Genesis 1 and 26, it says Elohim created. Now you have Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh Elohim formed man. So now he's telling you who specifically in the Godhead, in the host of Yah, is made this particular creation now. First, it was the host, the heavenly host created. And we're going to see who that was. And then now you have Yah Elohim speaking. So, and Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So again, you had the sixth-day man created. Then what happened after the sixth day? You had the Sabbath. The seventh day, he rested. He did not create man on the seventh day. Now you have the day after, which is the first day of the week on a weekly calendar. But on a spiritual calendar, you have an eighth day, because you have something new. A new creation is happening now. And how do you know this is a new creation and not the same creation in Genesis chapter 1? Well, you got to look at the Hebrew. If we look at that word for formed, it's a different word than make. In Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26, the word for make was a sa, which is literally nothing was there, and now something was presented. Something was developed. So nothing there, something was now there. That's make. Now you have formed. Formed is something is here and it's being shaped. And how do we know that? We'll look at the Hebrew word. The Hebrew word used for formed was yasar. Yasar, which is H3335. YATSAR. And that's literally to squeeze into shape. Well, how are you going to squeeze something if there's nothing there? Mold into a form. Well, you got to have a mold to actually form it. So something was here. So Yah is now taking this sixth day man that was created, a terrestrial man, and Yah is now making him a celestial, heavenly man, a spiritual man, and he's shaping him. But Yah's invisible. So if Yah's invisible, that means his shaping and the things that he's doing is invisible. So whereas the sixth day man, you see that creation, you can watch that creation form. You can see that in a microscope. You can see it in a baby being born. You can see that creation being created. But this eighth day man is an invisible creation. It's something that you can't see physically. The person is the same person. He looks exactly the same, but something invisible is happening. He's being shaped by Yah. And we're going to get into that. What is this shaping? How does this shape the eighth day man? All right, so we're at verse 8. All right, so Yah shaped man out of the dust of the ground, right? And where did we come from? What do we're carbon based. So we were out of the dust of the ground. Then he breathed life into us. So his word is giving us life. And this is what's making us a living soul. Verse 8, and Yahweh Elohim planted a garden eastward in Eden. And there he put the man whom he had formed. So the original man, the sixth day man, was just in Eden. That's a place. Then the new man, the eighth day man that Yah is shaping and changing with his word, he's putting him eastward in Eden. So he's putting him in a specific part of Eden. And then furthermore, in the garden. If you look at that in Hebrew, garden is Ganan. All right, so let's look at that. Garden is Ganan. And Ganan is literally the protected place, the hedged place. So he placed him in the east part of Eden, Adam, right? The eighth day man, Adam. And he placed him in a hedged and protected place. That's the garden. What's protecting him? Yah's word is protecting him. All right, so let's drop down. Let's go to verse 9. And out of the ground, verse 9, and out of the ground made Yahweh Elohim to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. And the tree of life also is in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. All right, so this is all in the hedged and protected place, so that the people outside of the hedged and protected place could not get to the tree of knowledge. Neither could they get to the tree of good and evil. All right, so let's drop down. Let's drop down to verse 15. And Yahweh Elohim took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. So he took him. Where is he taking him from? I thought he created him in Eden, in the Garden of Eden. No, he didn't. He created him in Eden and took him and placed him in the protected part, the garden, where you have your fruit, where your harvest is. And there he was supposed to dress it and to keep it. He was supposed to work with these fruits of the spirit, fruits of Yah. Verse 16. And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat of it. From the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die. And this is the only thing he told him not to eat, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He didn't say he couldn't eat of the tree of the knowledge of life. The tree of life, he didn't say he couldn't eat of that. He said he couldn't eat off the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You don't need to know all that. All you need to know is what you're supposed to do. But we wanted more. But the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat of it, for in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die. And Yahweh Elohim said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make a helpmeet for him. And Yahweh caused and out of the ground, Yahweh Elohim formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. So that belonged unto him. So he named those creatures. So naturally, when Yah is bringing him a wife, he is naming his wife. And that's why the wife is surnamed after the husband. And Adam gave names to all cattle and to all the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found a helpmeet for him. And Yahweh Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept and took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahweh Elohim had taken from man, made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So this is the new creation here. This is the new creation here. Now, what do animals do? When animals procreate, like the 6-day beasts, when they procreate, man, a dog asleep with the woman, he's stuck with her for however long he got, because they literally physically stuck together. As soon as he unstuck, he out of there. He gone. That's beast. But the man of Yah, he stays there for his family. He protects. He looks out for his family. He covers his family. He ensures his children are able to grow up and be productive and further the bloodline and the community. That's the 8th-day man. The 6th-day man don't do that. He don't care. He care about himself. He do what the law say. 18, you out of there. That's all he care about. So clearly you see there's two creations there. You had the 6th-day man that was created, right? In Genesis 1:26, under Asah, it was appointed, it was made, it was created. And then in Genesis chapter 2, after the first Shabbat, when Yah hallowed the 7th day, now he's creating the 8th-day man, which he's shaping. And he's shaping with his word. He's giving him instruction. Look, the 6th-day man, look, you eat whatever you want. Go do your thing, right? The 8th-day man, look, you can't eat everything. You can eat everything, just don't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Different. And I guarantee he wasn't thinking about eating no animals. There wasn't no bloodshed back then. All right, so let's go to Colossians chapter 1. Colossians chapter 1, and let's go back and let's see who this creator was. Colossians chapter 1. We're going to see who this creator was that created man. And not only created man, but created creation, period. Because Yah appointed it. Yah made it. He said it and it happened. But Yah didn't physically do it himself. He has spirits to do the work. Just like the CEO, Mr. McDonald. He don't go to McDonald's and flip a burger. He says burgers are going to be flipped and I'm going to make money off of it. And that's what happens. So Yah is the ultimate CEO. He says it and it's done. So he said it with his word and his word completed it. Colossians chapter 1 and verse 14. And we're going to go through verse 19. In whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sin. So who are we talking about here? We know we're not getting redeemed through Yah's blood because Yah don't have blood. Because remember, the celestial is one glory. It's different than the terrestrial. It's a whole different body. Verse 15. Even the forgiveness of sins, who is the image of the invisible Elohim, the firstborn of every creature. So we know who the invisible God is. That's YAH, who said, look, remember in Deuteronomy, take heed, there's no similitude. When I came on the spot, you didn't see nothing. Wasn't no sunshine, wasn't no moon, wasn't a star, wasn't an angel, wasn't a dolphin flying by, a bird, wasn't nothing when he came. So he's the invisible God. So he gave image to the invisible God. He gave image to his word, and that's the firstborn of every creature. And for by him were all things created that are in heaven, that are in the earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, or all things were created by him and for him. So this is Mashiach right here. This is the word. All things were created by him and for him. Verse 17, and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body, the assembly, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell. So that was your creator right there. That was the architect or the builder that built everything. Now, the construction workers were the heavenly powers, the angels, Elohim, the beasts, the four beasts. Those were the physical people that physically did it. And we were created partially in their image. That's why we have, and again, those are heavenly things. That's why we have spiritual characteristics of those beings that created us, those heavenly beings of Elohim that are of Yah's host that created us. All right, so these are spiritual things that we're talking about now. So now we're talking about these spiritual things, the spiritual explanation of our creation, and the carnal will just not understand. And that's just the way it is. Let's go to Matthew chapter 13. And there's a reason why things were made this way. He could have just gave image to the things that were invisible in heaven. And when they came down in earth, they were in that physical state. And we would just know that that's what they look like. But Yah did not want to do that for a reason. He didn't want everybody to understand the spiritual. So he gave representation. And you had to have the spirit to understand. So this is why he spoke to us in these parables and these mysteries and these metaphors. So he can talk to us in code. We do it all the time. We can sit here and have a conversation against other around other people, other nations. They wouldn't understand a word we saying, but we understand everything. We're using metaphors, and it's not even just slang. Our slang is metaphors, parables. Matthew chapter 13 and verse 10, Matthew chapter 13 and verse 10, and we're going to read through verse 17. And shalom to my big brother, Yafi Yahweh. Good to see you, family. Matthew 13 and verse 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, why speak you unto them in parables? So the disciples are like, yo, why you keep talking to these people in parables? You know, why don't you just tell them plainly? Verse 11. And he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. So the same reason we talk the way we talk, so we know the feds listening, the police, or the snitches, or another nation, or even people of our own nation in the same room. We talking about it. Y'all do the same thing. And that's why this whole book is filled with parables and mysteries and all types of things. They just won't get it. Again, verse 11, because it's given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. It's not given unto them. For whosoever has, to him shall be given. So if you have the spirit, more. He's going to give you more. He's going to demand more of you. And he shall have more of abundance. He'll gain more. But whosoever does not, who's void of the Spirit, whatever little bit he have is going to be taken from him. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. So they don't get it. They won't get it. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of YAH, which says, by hearing you shall hear and shall not understand, and seeing you shall see and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time should they see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For yes, I say unto you that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see and have not seen them, and to hear those things which you hear and have not heard them. And that's most of us today. Most of us today have been exposed to this Bible. It's the best-selling book for hundreds of years. We've seen it. Now, do we open it up and read it all? No, but we've been exposed to it. Back in the day, people, especially in times of slavery, you weren't even getting this stuff. And the times of the prophets, they didn't have all the whole copy of the Torah. We have this. So we're blessed. So keep in mind, this book is a mystery. Yah's word is a mystery. It's a bunch of metaphors and parables that if he does not give you the Spirit, you will not understand. The carnal will not understand, but the spiritual will understand, and they'll understand how to apply this. That's the eighth day man. He's trying to gain the spiritual understanding through the analyzation of the physical things that Yah gave us and his laws that he gave us. You take those things, the physical things that Yah made laws on the earth with, the carnal things. Then take his spiritual laws that he gave us in this book and just do a comparison. And you'll start to see a pattern. He made things for a reason this way. All right, so let's move on. We're going to go to Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1, and we're going to read verse 18. So he always gave us this example in the flesh, all the way to the point of him even sending his own son in the flesh, so that we couldn't say like, well, we didn't know this is spiritual. We're terrestrial. How are we supposed to understand all these things? He always gave us something physical and carnal to help us understand. But you got to be spiritual to seek that correlation between the carnal and what does this mean spiritually. If you're not looking at it from that perspective, you're just looking at everything from what does this mean carnally, that's all you're going to receive. But ask yourself, well, why is it made this way? What is the purpose? Why did Yah, he could have made us this way. Why did he make us this way? Then look at his laws and look how he tells us to operate and draw that correlation, and it'll start to make sense. Verse 18. For the wrath of Yah is revealed from heaven against all wicked and unrighteousness of men, who hold the truth in unrighteousness, because that which may be known of Yah is manifest in them, for Yah has showed it unto them. All right, so these ungodly and unrighteous men that hold the truth as unrighteous, it's going to be made manifest through them, because their actions are going to yield the negative results. And when you see that, you're going to see, oh, these are ungodly men, and they're operating against Yah, and Yah is manifesting that, and you can see that. Verse 20, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen. So how are we seeing the invisible things from the creation of the world. If it's invisible, how we see it? Well, it's being understood by things that are made. So the things that Yah made are to help us understand the invisible things, not for us to worship the things that Yah made in lieu of the invisible Yah. No, you worship the invisible Yah and you use the things that he made to serve him. Again, verse 20, for the visible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So you can't use the excuse, I can't understand these spiritual things. Well, didn't I not give you these carnal things for you to draw a correlation, for you to seek the understanding, to show the difference? There's no excuse. Because if he gave you that spirit to understand, he gave you all these physical things for you to look at and use that spirit that he gave you to understand what he's trying to say. But if he didn't give it to you, you're not going to seek the spiritual and you're not going to find it. All right, we can stop there. Now, actually, let's go through verse 24. Because that when they knew Yah, they glorified him not as Yah, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. So because they knew the Most High and decided that they did not want to honor him, they knew that you knew there was a creator. You knew that this wasn't no big bang theory, that it was just some big explosion and we just happened to have 2 feet, 2 arms, and 2 legs and all. Nah. We knew that there was a creator, that there was a higher power. They'll even say it, higher power. But they deny his truth for the things that they create in their own imagination or the imagination of another man. And because of that, their mind is darkened, and now they believe that foolishness and they caught in their own vanity. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. All these scientists, they try to give you this ball earth, telling you the earth's spinning around 100,000 miles an hour and all this foolishness. They became fools and changed the glory of the uncorruptible Yah into an image made like unto corruptible man and to birds and 4-footed beasts and creeping things. So you trying to take something that's perfect and invisible and cannot be touched and will never die, and you want to change it and make it something that's corruptible, that's dead, that can die, that can be destroyed, that bleeds, that's unclean, that craps. And you're going to say that that's Yah. Verse 24, and this is the mind of the carnal, because he can't grasp the spiritual. He got to fit that which he can't understand into something physical that he can shape himself and feel. Wherefore Yah also gave them up to the uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. All right, so let's move on from there. So that is the carnal man. He can't receive those things of the invisible because it's being represented by the things that Yah made, but he cannot make those correlations because he can only deal with the physical. Well, that's a bird. Well, that's all it is a bird. Well, why is that bird flying down in the shape of a dove, landing on the top of Mashiach with a voice coming out of heaven saying, this is my son in whom I'm well pleased, my only begotten son? Nah, I'm just looking at a bird. That's the carnal. They will never grasp the spiritual understanding of anything. That's the 6th day man. The 8th day man is seeking to break out of that just soul carnal understanding and get both, because there's going to be a carnal explanation and a spiritual. The carnal explanation is how scientifically it happened, and the spiritual reason is why Yah used that carnal thing to represent his spirit. All right, now let's look at this 8th day. And now again, the carnal won't grasp this part of the understanding. This 8th day, he's going to see, oh, well, this is just Sunday, or this is the first day, or whatever. He won't grasp the eighth day understanding. So Yah is trying to drill this into our head. So we're going to go through it real quick. Let's go to Genesis chapter 17, and we're going to read 9 through 14. Bereshit. Genesis chapter 17, and we're going to read from verse 9 to 14. So when Yah created the sixth day man, when he's shaping the eighth day man, he made a promise. He made a covenant. And he said, this is my covenant. I'm going to shape your men. And the shaping was this circumcision. And this circumcision represented the cutting away of the flesh of the heart, the foreskin, the hardness of our heart. That's what it represented in the spiritual. But in the physical, it's literally cutting off the foreskin of your penis. That's carnally, that's scary. But why would Yah have us do that? Well, first of all, no other animal on this planet does that. Animals will cut themselves, will do all kinds. Africans cut their face. People do all kind of stuff. But no other animal or human circumcises. Only Yah's children do that. That is our covenant. And every other beast on this earth is exactly how they came into earth. But the circumcised man is different. He's a new creation. And this is why Yah had circumcision happen on the eighth day. Is that a coincidence? Let's read. Bereshit chapter 17 and verse 9. And Elohim said to Abraham, you shall keep my covenant. Therefore, you and your seed after you in your generation. So he's commanding that we keep his covenant. And Shalom, sis Viva Renee. Good to see you, family. So he said, you will keep my covenant. So this is my promise. This is my marriage contract. I'm married. Marriage is forever. So to you and your seed after in their generation, this is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and your seed after you. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. This is given to the children of Israel. And you shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant between me and you. All covenants are sealed with blood. That's why you are not physically married to your wife till you sleep with her. You have to break that covenant, that skin. So this circumcision is the covenant between Yah and the Hebrews. Verse 12, and he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generation, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of your seed. So this is being done on the 8th day. Why not the 9th day or the 10th or on the 7th day after a week? Yah is symbolizing a new creation. This is separate. This is set apart from all other of the creation, all other men. I'm separating them from the 6th day man. All right, so you have circumcision. Now let's go to Leviticus and let's go on to the next one. Let's go to Leviticus 23, YAH. We're going to look at the 8th day again. YAH chapter 23, and we're going to start at verse 9. Leviticus 23 and verse 9. So now we're in the holy days, and Yah is again setting apart the 8th day. And Yah was spoken to Moshe, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharah, and say unto them, when you be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted for you on the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it. So what day is the Sabbath day. What number day is the Sabbath? Well, we know, you're Hebrew, you know this. We know it's the seventh day. So the day after the seventh day, which is physically the first day of the week, or Babylon Sunday, for this special event is considered an eighth day. Or else, why would they not just say on the, if this was if the Shabbat happened to be on the seventh day, and say on day 8, do this? No, they're saying the morrow after the Sabbath. On the 8th day, the priest shall wave it. So that's the first fruit. That's when you're giving your first fruit offering. So this is the shaping of man. This is invisible. You taking the first fruits of the best of your harvest and giving it unto Yah is invisible. That is something invisible. Something invisible in you makes you do that. That's spiritual. You taking that and putting those first fruits out there, that ain't going to automatically make something happen. There's no science behind that. You take that and you give that to Yah, then all of a sudden your tree's going to grow bigger. No. That's spiritual. That's invisible. So that's him shaping man, that's saying, listen, I gave you everything that you have. Only reason you grow is because I make you grow. So whatever fruit you produce in that garden, and that garden is supposed to be you. You're supposed to be the hedge place. And what's hedging you is the law. And the fruit you produce is the fruit of the Spirit. All the first 10%, that's supposed to belong to him. So he's symbolizing that with the 8th day. That's what the 8th day man symbolizes. So drop down to verse 15. So now we're going to go to Feast of Weeks. And you shall count unto you from the morrow after the Shabbat, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. So that's a whole completion. 7 is the number of completion. Then 7 times 7, that's 49. That's a completion. But then here in verse 16, it says, even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath, you shall number 50 days. And you shall offer a new offering unto Yahweh, a new meat offering. So now you have another set apart day, which we read further down. It's treated as a Sabbathon. It's treated as a holy day. The morrow after the Sabbath, the 8th day. So Yah give you 2 witnesses. The 8th day man is going to offer his offerings unto Yah, the best of what he has. First, then last, tabernacles. We drop down to Leviticus chapter 23, and we start this at verse 39. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when you gather in the fruit of the land, you shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. So that's just like the first one of the season, 7 days, where you have unleavened bread, right? But then now it says on the first day you shall have a Sabbathon, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbathon. So now we all know that 7 days is the number of completion. So this is something different. We've never had an 8-day feast. We had the 7-day feast with with unleavened bread. Now at the end of the season, we get this 8th day feast, representing that last great day, the 8th day, which we are trying to live into. So let's see Yahweh Shai king on the 8th day again. Let's go to John chapter 20 and look at Mashiach. Yohanan, John chapter 20. And we saw how he keyed the 8th day in first fruits. Well, now he's going to show you the first fruits. And who was the first fruits of them that slept? Mashiach. So it's befitting he's going to pop up on this 8th day now, all of a sudden. Yohanan, John chapter 20, and we're going to start this at verse 24 and go through 29. Yohanan, John, chapter 20 and verse 24. And shalom, shalom to my lovely wife, Sister Tafara, right there in the other room. Yohanan, John, chapter 20, and we're going to read verses 24 through 29. But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Yahushua came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, We have seen the Adonai. But he said unto them, Except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger in the print of the nails, and thrust my hand to his side, I will not believe. And that is the sixth-day man. He can only believe what he can see. He can't believe the scriptures because the scriptures are spiritual. He can only believe what he can touch, see, hear, feel. And now look at verse 26. And after 8 days, again, his disciples were within and Thomas was with them. Then came Yahushua, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst and said, Peace be unto you. So now he's showing up 8 days later. So now if we follow the trail on this, we'll find out that this is him showing up for tabernacles. Excuse me, not tabernacle. That's him showing up for first fruits. If you follow the timeline, when you have the resurrection timeline, after he resurrected according to what they saw, and then he disappeared, he said, Don't touch me, for I have not ascended to the Father. Then now 8 days later, you add all those days up, it's going to bring you right to when you're supposed to keep your first fruits. You have to keep your first fruits after Passover and unleavened bread. You have your whole 7 days of unleavened bread, which ends like around a Tuesday, right? Monday, Tuesday, something like that. Monday, right? And then that Shabbat that comes right after that, the day after that is the 8th day. That's the day you're supposed to keep first fruits. And that's when Yahushua popping up, talking about touch me. He's not going to say touch me. He's not going to say any of that type of stuff. You know why? Because he just said if it was before, when he just rose up, he ain't gone before the Father. He hasn't done unleavened bread yet. He hasn't been the first fruit offering and being weighed before the Father. So he's like, hey, don't touch me. But now 8 days has passed. And he's like, look, feeling is believing, right? 8th day. All right, so let's get into the actual 8th day itself, what this represents. YAH chapter 60 gives us a good account of what this 8th day is like. And this is why they call the end of the world. Because once we in charge and we running things, it's righteousness. No more of that wickedness. We are where we're rightfully supposed to be. And that's the end of their world, where they can do all their sick stuff and all their wickedness and do whatever. The age of the Gentile is over. So this is the 8th day, the future glory of Yasharal. YAH chapter 60 and verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon you. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Yahweh shall rise upon you, and his glory shall be seen upon you. So before it says that it's always darkest before dawn. So before the coming of Mashiach, it's going to be a real dark time. It talks about that in Genesis chapter 15, where it's talking about, this darkness, great darkness that's coming upon us, the great tribulation. Verse 3. And the Gentiles shall come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. So it's going to get so dark and so dangerous that it's going to be clear who the children of Yasharal is just by our wisdom and the light and the protection that comes with the light that we have. Light up your eyes round about and see. All they gather themselves together. They come to you. Your son shall come from far, and your daughter shall be nursed at your side. Then you shall see and flow together, and your heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto you. The forces of the Gentiles shall come onto you. So all they armies and all this stuff that they threatening and all these wars and all this stuff kicking off now. Now the Iran is beefing with Israel and America and all this foolish. Well, all they forces are going to come to us once they've been humbled. The multitude of camels shall cover you, the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, and all they from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth praise of Yahweh. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto you. The rams of Nebaioth shall minister unto you. They shall come up with acceptance on my altar, and I will glorify the house of my glory. Who are these that fly as a cloud, and as the doves to their windows? Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring your sons from afar, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of Yahweh, your Elohim, and to the Holy One of Yasharal, because he has glorified you. So the ships of Tarshish, those are the Spanish ships, those big barges and things that would bring the biggest cargo over here. The biggest cargo at the time was us. So them same big ships, they gonna bring us back. But we not coming broke and empty like we did last time. We going back with silver and gold and with a name. Verse 10, and the sons of strangers shall build up your walls, and their kings shall minister unto you. For on my wrath I smote you, but in my favor have I had mercy on you. Therefore your gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto you the forces of the Gentiles, and that the kings may be brought. For the nation and the kingdom that will not serve you shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. So if you believe in this Bible and you are of another nation, then you have to believe that your nation will be serving the nation of Yasharal in the future, unless Yah's word is a lie. And I'm sorry, Yah's word is not a lie. Now, we didn't write that. We didn't make that up. We didn't get together and vote on that. That's Yah's will. Verse 13, and if you have a problem with that, you got a problem with Yah, not us. Verse 13, the glory of Lebanon shall come unto you, the fir tree, the pine tree, the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. The sons also of them that afflicted you shall come bending unto you, and all that they despise you shall bow themselves down at the soles of your feet, and they shall call you the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Yasharal. So when they see Mashiach, what he physically looks like, and realizes that he looks like us and what they did to his people, when they see you because of him, they gonna fall to their feet, because they gonna want the mercy in hopes that you will speak up for them, that you will give them some wisdom to survive in the darkness and help their nation continue on. Verse 15, whereas you've been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through you, I will make you an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. You shall also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shall suck the breasts of kings. And you shall know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. So remember how they got those pictures of the black mammies breastfeeding the white babies? Well, guess what? It's going to be the opposite. These kings and their wives, they're going to be breastfeeding our babies, according to this script. For brass, I will bring gold, and for iron, I will bring silver, and for wood, brass, and for stones, iron. I will also make your officers peace, and your exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in your land, wasting nor destruction within your borders, but you shall call your walls salvation and your gates praise. So your wall will be salvation. It won't be called the Wailing Wall. The walls will be Yahweh Shai, salvation, and the gates praise. We ain't gonna have violence. We ain't gonna have bomb shelters everywhere, and blowing up. We ain't gonna have to blow up hospitals of innocent women and children because we terrorists. Verse 19. The sun shall be no more your light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto you. But Yahweh shall be unto you an everlasting light, and your glory, in your Elohim, your glory. So there's no more sun and there's no more moon. This is definitely not happened. This is the future. So if there's no sun and no moon, that's the time. That's how we keep time. So there's no sun and no moon to shine anymore. That's a new day. That's not the first day, second day, third day, because all them days, the sun and the moon shining. That's forever. This is after forever. This is forever, ever. That's the 8th day. And the 8th day is for the 8th day man, woman, period. Because we're not bringing that 6th day man in. The sun shall no more go down, neither shall the moon withdraw itself. For Yahweh shall be your everlasting light, and the days of your mourning shall be ended. Your people also shall all be righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Yahweh, will hasten it in his time. So obviously there's still families going on, because how else can one become a strong nation unless he's repopulating? All right, so let's go to the conclusion. We're going to go to Revelation 21. Again, there's always 2 witnesses. There's the first witness to the 8th day. Now we're going to get the second witness in Revelation. So Revelation chapter 21, I'll start that at verse 1 for the conclusion. Revelation chapter 21 and verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, Yohanan, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Elohim out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of YAH is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them and be their Elohim. So YAH is perfect. So for YAH to come dwell here, this has to be perfect. Heaven was messed up when the third of the angels left their former estate. So that's why we have a new heaven coming. And earth was defiled by the adversary, the devil. And that's how we have a new heaven and a new earth. And this is going to be for the 8th day creation, which is perfect, which is only created by YAH, not created by anything that will cause you to err. That's the 8th day creation. That's the whole game plan, is for YAH to be able to dwell with us, but he cannot dwell with us while we're in our altered, our imperfect state, because we would just burn away until we become perfect. Verse 5. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these things are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water of life freely. So now there's not going to be that flaming sword around the tree of life anymore. Anybody can take of it freely and live forever. Praise Yah. Ed Shalom, sis Geesey Cole. Good to see you. And we have a comment from Sister Tafar. It says, have to really set our heart on Yah's purpose and our spiritual man, and ensue self, meaning die to selfish and carnal thinking, and learn to be content with the fruit of the word and of the spirit. Hallelujah. You know, there's just so much going on in this world to really distract us. Everything is created to distract us, to keep us from that. Because the more we turn away from the plow, is the more we start heading off direction, because that's what the body is designed to do. Yeah, we are allowing the 8th day man to control the 6th day vessel that we live in, which is this flesh. All right, so Revelation chapter 21, and we're at verse 7. He that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and the murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So he has to get rid of all the things that defile, that cause death, so that the 8th day creation can be forever. Verse 9. And there came unto me one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, Come here, and I will show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from Elohim. So let us understand, we are not going to heaven. Why would we want to go to heaven when there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth? New heaven is coming here, New Jerusalem. Elohim, we just read it earlier, in the beginning of Revelation 21. He is dwelling with us. He's coming here to dwell with us, but for him to dwell with us, we have to be perfected. And that's what Mashiach was created for, to perfect us, to keep us in perfection. The word. Verse 10 or 11. Having the glory of Elohim, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as a crystal. And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereof, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Yasharal. So again, keep in mind, they're describing physically what something spiritual looks like. So yeah, it physically looks like this. It has this physical appearance as jasper stone. Now we know what jasper is like, brown, and it's saying clear as a crystal. So it's see-through with brown tint. And it had a wall great and high with 12 gates, and their 12 gates had the names of the 12 tribes. So we're making up New Jerusalem. He said, those that overcome will I grant him to be a pillar with me in my throne. 12 gates, 12 pillars. Interesting. 12 tribes of Israel. On the east 3 gates, the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. The 12 apostles are the foundation, the gates, the 12 tribes. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city and the gates thereof and the wall thereof. And the city lie foursquare, and the length is as large as the breadth, and measured the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the width of it are equal. So it's a square. And he measured the wall thereof in 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of an angel. 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man. And in other words, 144,000. Interesting. And the building of the wall of it was as jasper, and the city was of pure gold, like unto clear glass. So it's a lot of shiny stuff going on. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. And let me guess what precious stones. Could it be the 12 stones that represent the 12 tribes of Israel? The first was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprasus, the 11th jacinth, and the 12th amethyst. And on the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of one pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. And I saw no temple therein, for the Adonai Elohim Almighty and Yahweh Elohim Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it. For the glory of Yah did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. Again, this is consistent with Isaiah chapter 60. So you got all these people, just down talking the New Testament and calling it Greek and all this made up stuff. Not majority of all this stuff, you can go directly to the Old Testament and get it. And the things that weren't directly there are in perspective with the things that were written in the Old Testament. Verse 25, 24, and the nations of them which are saved, again, the nations. So this is multiple nations here. Nations means in Hebrew is goyim or Gentile, right? Why is Israel not called goyim? Because Israel is that nation, that set apart nation. We Israel, and everybody else is the nations. So that means there will be other nations alive in the 8th day. Period. So that racist thing about all the other nations going to just get wiped out and only Israel going to be alive, and it's just racism. It's not, you can't condone that reading this Bible. Sorry. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. Yeah, they bringing their glory and honor into it, but they not coming into it, because that is for the children of Israel. And the gates of it shall not be shut all day. There shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall in no wise enter into anything that defiles, neither whatsoever works abomination or makes a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. So if you're not written in the Lamb's book of life, you're not entering into that city. And I don't really know too many other places you want to be, because it don't look good. If there ain't no rain and there ain't no sun, ain't no nothing, and the light of it is coming from Israel, don't know too many places you want to be. So again, that is the breakdown of the 8th day man versus the 6th day man. The 6th day man won't understand this class. He's not going to try to understand this class, because this is not a carnal class. It's a spiritual class. A lot of viewers going to drop off. They can't deal with this. They can only deal with we Israel. We got next. Wave the flag. We God's chosen people. God black. Hallelujah. That's all they can deal with. But Israel, we've been selected to receive the mysteries. It was given unto us. And a lot of these things are not going to be unsealed into the end times. And guess what? We in the end times is being unsealed. So let's put this together. Let's put our spirits together. Let's get a better understanding, and let's get into this word. So praise y'all. That's all we're going to do today. Any last questions or comments? Speak now or forever hold your peace. If not, we will see you all for Bible study on Shabbat for Sabbath with Elder Zahar. Should be returning next week. And again, if you'd like to reach out to us, you can reach out to us on our website at saviorwordofyah.org. You can email us at saviorwordofyah, saviorwordatl@gmail.com. And if you'd like to donate, you can donate directly through our YouTube page. You can hit the donate button, or you can donate on our website by hitting the donate on our website. So that's all we're doing today. Yah's will. We will see you all for Shabbat. Yah be with you all. Shalom.